Hey guys, what's going on? This is GJ O'Reilly, and today we're talking about hard drives and SSDs. Does the brand matter? Should you buy a Lacey or G Technology over a Seagate or WD? So the answer for hard drives, at this point, it doesn't matter. There's only 3 companies left making hard drives. That's WD, Seagate, and Toshiba. Whatever brand you see on the label is just a rebrand. So if it's a HSG, that's just a WD product at this point. If it says G Technology, that's WD. If it says Lacey, that's Seagate. And for most other brands, it's one of the 3. And stuff like, well, SanDisk, that's WD. And for those who are like, oh, one brand's better than the other, they've all had their issues. WD started relabeling to have a different recording type, which affected especially their write speeds. And they didn't tell anyone, and they thought no one would notice. But Seagate's had bad batches of hard drives. For those who are like, oh, one brand's clearly better than another, they're not. They all make slightly different products. And the biggest thing about buying hard drives for video production and stuff, or SSDs for that matter, is typically speed and their reliability characteristics. So for SSDs, this happens to be a 1 terabyte Extreme that is rated to be fast enough on my Atomos. But for SATA SSDs, typically Samsung's Evo and Pro series in their 2.5-inch SATA, so that's the connector on the back. Those are basically about as fast as you get. Seagate makes some that are as fast. I mean, basically every company makes it as fast as you can for the SATA interface, but the difference in some cases is how long it will sustain that top speed. NAND has advanced so that we're not putting a single bit of data on a cell, we're putting 2, 3, 4 bits. And so a lot of the 4-bit stuff, it's extremely slow to write. So the drives will actually write in single bit, reread that, and then rewrite that to a quad bit, quad cell. It's typically labeled as QLC later on down the process. Most drives now are SLC, so 2, or TLC 3 layers per NAND cell. So when it comes to buying hard drives, what really matters? Well, for most video use, I would look at enterprise and NAS hard drives. Typically, 12 to 16 terabyte enterprise hard drives are the cheapest. So I think looking around the last couple weeks, I've seen typically Seagate or Toshiba 14 to 16 terabytes. You can go to a site like PC Part Picker, select. I always look at 7200 RPM drives. I don't see a point in 5400 or 5900 RPM drives. The faster spinning drives perform a little bit better, they have a little bit less latency, and they're just, if you're going to video edit off them or if you're going to access them even semi-frequently, just get a 7200 RPM drive. Thankfully, we no longer have those 10,000 or 15,000 RPM drives. WD labeled a couple blacks, or no, sorry, WD Velociraptors were 10 terabyte or 10,000 RPM small hard drives back when SSDs were incredibly expensive. And versus internal, external doesn't really matter. In fact, a lot of external drives at this point have the higher performance enterprise or NAS drive stuck in it and put in an enclosure. So you can go look at places like Reddit, I think it's Reddit Data Hoarders or something like that. I'll put it up exactly, but they're constantly opening up external hard drives to figure out what's inside to see if it's a good value or not. Should you overpay for some Lacey hard drive or G Technology over a cheap WD external or a Seagate external? No, you shouldn't. At the end of the day, they're just the same drives that you can get with a different branding and a different casing. And for those of you guys who are after those external SSDs, you can buy a cheap enclosures to put either M.2 drives, I don't have one with me, or SATA drives in a little plastic enclosure with a USB interface, and that's going to be just as fast as someone else's. Oh look, here's our fancy one, because at the end of the day, in most cases, USB is going to be your bottleneck before you reach the bottleneck of especially M.2 drives. And for those of you guys who are looking at bigger solutions, like storage servers or NASs, one thing I consider if you're just a solo editor is to look at direct storage. So a bunch of different companies make direct storage products. that are typically like 2. I've seen them go as high, I believe, as about 12 drives. I think it's the highest, 12 to 16 drives, I think it's the highest I've seen for a USB solution. After that, even USB 3.2 Gen 2 by 2, so that's 20 gigabits per second, is a bottleneck. So at that point, then a lot of them will switch over to like a host bus card running to an external SAS, which is a more enterprise-focused protocol for hard drives and SSDs, but you can run older SATA drives on it just fine. And at that point, if you're looking at more than, I would say, probably 8 drives, you're either looking at a NAS or you're looking at some sort of storage solution. As for those, please, please, please do not go buy a Jellyfish from LumaForge / OWC, I think bottom. Please don't go buy one of those things. They're like $60,000 for 200 terabytes of space. No, 180 terabytes of space. They're insane. They're like 5x the market rate. And they even make like your big typical OEMs like Dell and HP, Lenovo look good in terms of pricing. Go look at places like 45 Drive sells ones, and they're great because if you want a storage solution that you don't have to do configuration on, and you don't have to worry about warranty and that, they'll sell you a system ready to go, plug into your network, and you're good to go. And those guys are great over there with support. So if you guys have questions, I'd go look at them. You can always build it yourself if you know how to, or if you've got a lot of local computer stores have an enterprise division, and they could do something custom up for you, or they'll take a super micro server and shove hard drives in it. So don't get taken for a rung on storage because you're like, oh, I need a G technology or I need a lacy drive. So thank you guys for watching. If you guys like this video, like it. If you don't, that other button seems to work okay. Get subscribed and hit that bell to get notifications. I will see you guys next week. I am planning at this point on at least 10 to 12 videos coming over the next couple of months, and so my goal is to upload every Sunday morning.